Welcome back to Mad Dog Airguns. Today we've got the Gamo Hunter. Cheap budget rifle, but one that I quite like. Lovely stock on it. I've got the Hawk 3-9x50 on there. Now I have in previous videos done some work on the trigger. Here, this is the SAT trigger, plastic. Now I thought it was quite a good trigger until I got the BSA R12 CLX Pro. That's got a fantastic trigger. Anyway, popular mod on these Gamo air rifles that have got the SAT trigger is to fit one of these. So if you can see that, if it's going to focus on it or if it's just focusing on my face. That is a Charlie Datuna, a GRT-4G or something, drop-in replacement trigger that has been devised to be a fantastic trigger. So you get like a really light pull. Who knows? So we're going to do that today. I'm not going to show you taking the action out of the stock and this, that and that. We'll get onto the bench when I've got it all taken apart. I've done other videos with that, so it's quite straightforward. It's only 3-4 screws. But before I do take it apart, I've got one of these. It's probably not the best, but I can't afford the best at the moment. It's a trigger pull gauge. So I'm going to fire some shots out the window. I would do it outside, but it's so bloody hot today. We're sort of hiding indoors out of the heat. I'll fire some pellets out the window using the trigger pull gauge. See what weight trigger is. Now I'll do it in imperial because obviously in metric it's kilograms and that, and I don't really understand the pull weights in kilograms. Everything else I'll do in metric. We'll do some before. We'll fit the trigger on the bench and then we'll do some after shots. And then in another video we'll take it outside and see how accurate it is. Right, I've done one already, so let's just enter that. Sounds quite light to me. I don't know if this gauge is 1.12, so that's 1 pound 12 ounces. .78. 2.2. So I've used this trigger gauge. It was around 1 pound 12 ounces average. The hardest pull was 2 pounds something, and the lightest was 1 pound 7. So I'm going to try and do this without taking the trigger out of the gun. So I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll try it. Just going to undo these two Phillips screws. Might all go terribly wrong. Should be able to just prise that up now. The right screwdriver. Like so. No, will that not come out of there? No, it's got to come out. Just put these screws back in. Alright, I'll just get this out of here. Alright, so we'll try again. We'll take these bits out. Make sure these little rubber O-rings stay in place. That should lift straight off. So this piece has to come out. Going to be using that again. Then the trigger comes out. There is a spring in there. We don't use that again. We will use the safety again. Going to take out the second stage screw because we don't need that anymore. If I can get it out. That's the longest screw that we put in to give it a better second stage. I did a video on that. So we've got the trigger, we've got that pin which goes in there, and then we've got this pin which I'm assuming they are totally different. Let me just wipe a bit of this grease off. Take that little spring out. Right, so this pin goes in this hole here, which is a lovely fit. You've got to put the safety on the trigger first. It's going to be a bit tricky getting this on because I've not taken that spring off of that piece. Let me take that spring off. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, take it all apart and clean some of this grease off. Put that back on, and that slides backwards and forwards. Put that piece back in. Now I've put that pin in there. That's a nice fit. Can put the safety on the trigger piece. He says. Why am I struggling with this? Let me take these out, put the trigger in. It's a fiddly little sucker. Get on there. There we go. So it says make sure the safety works, so that's that. Then we've got this fat pin, which goes fat end in, into there like so. It says just to check for interference. Now this piece should just click in, press fit into there, he says. Yeah, that's pressed into there nicely. So you can see that goes down onto there. So that's your first stage, and then second stage. So I shall put the cover back on. Might just smear a little bit of grease in there, not a lot. Do like to keep things lubricated. Now put this cover back on. Just make sure that this pin doesn't catch anywhere on the don't know if I'm getting full travel there. Does it even get full travel? Well, all I can do is put it back together and try it. Right, I'll just put this back in the action. It's £1, 1 ounce. £1, 1 ounce. £15 ounces, that's a little bit. It was a bit fiddly. That's just mainly down to my big hands and small springs and pieces. But it's in there, I don't know if you can see that. Now, the first stage is not adjustable, that's built into the geometry of the trigger. I believe a lot of that is to do with the safety. People was adjusting the first stage and it was making it like a really dangerous hair trigger. So that's been built into it. The only adjustment is the second stage. Now there are some instructions online that you can download as a PDF that says you can adjust it so that you can feel the bump of the second stage, and then obviously the more you adjust it past that bump, the heavier the trigger's going to get. So now it's got like, I don't know if you can see it, it's got just a very little thing there and then a ever so slight break. Can you see that? I don't know if you, it's not very good. Anyway, it feels pretty good. It's very, very light. I'm used to it being really heavy, so proof will be out on the range. I will obviously take a screwdriver out to adjust it if it doesn't feel quite right, and I can adjust it one way or the other. But so far, it feels pretty good. It's a nice metal trigger. Yeah, so, and then obviously you pull the safety on and the trigger doesn't move at all. Well, it wobbles about a bit, but you can see that. Safety off, so you got your first stage. Yeah, there's not much there, but it's a nice light trigger, and I've obviously bumped the stock with it cocked and it hasn't gone off. So yeah, pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with it. Proof will be in the pudding if I can shoot any better. You know, it's all good stuff, isn't it? Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.